Today, we're going to be talking about the elephant in the room that's kind of been getting swept under the rug, in particular for a player that earned his spot on this roster, ended up getting his contract guaranteed right before the season began, and truly has that energy about him that really should define what the Utah Jazz team is about right now. In today's video, we're going to be diving into why exactly Kris Dunn has fallen so easily out of the rotation. Thanks for tuning in this video. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts before we get into everything, subscribe and turn on post notifications, and become a member for extra perks. With that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this one. So Kris Dunn obviously came to the Jazz at the end of last season after the starters really got shut down because they realized that there was no real strong point for them to go ahead and make a playoff push. With that in mind, he finished last season playing in 22 games, playing almost 26 minutes a night with 13 points, shooting 54% from the field, 47% from beyond the arc, to go along with 4.5 rebounds and 5.6 assists. Now compare that to this season where he's appeared in 10 out of the 13 games, and really not even, because in the 4 most recent games, he did not play against the Grizzlies, played for 1 minute against the Trailblazers. He played for 9 seconds against the Suns the first time in the tournament game, and then he did not play in the most recent game against them on Sunday night in a double overtime thriller. Now, to date, the best game he's played was against the Pacers, where he only had 12 minutes of action, but he did end up putting together 7 points, shooting 3 of 5 from the field, going 1 of 1 from beyond the arc, hitting the only three-pointer that he took that night, and also having 4 rebounds to go along with 2 assists. Now, the interesting thing about Kris Dunn's situation is that there's almost no press coverage regarding the situation, so everything is just really smoke and mirrors to us. But deductive reasoning gives us a little bit to go off of, and seeing the play of the other guards on the roster also tells us a little. I personally don't believe that Kris Dunn is on the trading block. I felt like if he was, he probably already would have gotten shipped out already. Now, the 2 players that we thought were really on the trading block were between THT and Collin Sexton. Both have had their ups and downs this season, but Collin Sexton has been the more playable out of the 2 of them, despite them sharing the court for a similar number of minutes. With that in mind, Talen Horton-Tucker is coming off his best performance this season, which likely would make him to be the most preferred option in a trade package if you're another team, because he does have that size to defend multiple positions. He does have decent court vision despite being heavily turnover prone, and he's a solid rebounder for his positional size. Meanwhile, Collin Sexton provides more of that scoring burst, that heavy grit type of mentality when he's on the court, and he's also rather undersized in today's league, also considering the fact that he also doesn't get that many shot attempts as well as minutes to actually get shot attempts up, and overall, he seems to be having an out-of-body experience this season. Now, with all that in mind, that means you have Keyonte George, who is currently the starting point guard, despite the most recent rough game that he had against the Phoenix Suns. Then you also have Collin Sexton and Talen Horton-Tucker sharing those next minutes when Jordan Clarkson is out of the game and whenever Ochai also doesn't see the floor. Mind you, this is also without Walker Kessler even being in the mix, so there's extra minutes being given to other players that still wouldn't play as many minutes as they do currently in this moment. The most recent DNPs came down to Samanic, Hendricks, Sensabaugh, and Yurt7, none of which are guards, meaning that Kris Dunn is the only guard that's actually left out of the entire picture. The simple fact of the matter is Keyonte George is the star of the future for this team, so he's going to get minutes. Kris Dunn will never take minutes from him, bar any drastic issue with his developmental process. Collin Sexton is likely to be the guy that's going to be standing out for the long-term future as that backup guard unless he is traded. THT seems to garner the most attention as a trading piece, and therefore he is most likely to get shipped out. However, if he does not get shipped out, then it's likely that Kris Dunn doesn't see the court honestly any more than he has so far this season. I believe that there will be some games where you see more of him playing upwards of 8 to 14-ish minutes, but there's also going to be a lot more games down the road where he just doesn't play at all, or he comes in as a reliever at the end of a blowout loss, or on the random occasion that it does happen, a blowout victory for the Utah Jazz. In my eyes, this is obviously less than favorable for him specifically, because Kris Dunn did a lot in training camp. He did a lot at the end of last season to prove that he not only belonged on this roster, but that he could be a critical piece in the development of the rookies as they came along, as well as a valued leader on the floor and off the floor. And now it seems like he's just there kind of for show and just to push the boys in practice, which fair play, but at the same time, I think it's also a money thing. For a man that's only on a $2.5 million contract, he's being out-earned effectively by all the other guards on the roster, which means that by and large, he's the guy that commands the least amount of attention simply from a numbers perspective. With that in mind, he's also somebody that doesn't seem to complain, whether it be on the court, off the court, whether it be regarding game action, not playing in games. He's just a very evenly keeled and professional player. And being somebody that was having trouble just getting a spot in the league and being able to sit at the table because of injuries and other issues earlier on in his career, him just being able to be on a roster seems to be enough for him right now. And if that's the case, then I have no issue with it, and I respect his decisions and his willingness to be such a solid team player and a veteran in that locker room, because there is something to say about those types of players, because those glue guys are few and far in between and really hard to find. And if Kris Dunn is truly the professional that we all expect him to be and we see on television, but in actual real life situations and in that locker room when the cameras are off and the mics are off and nobody else is around except for him and the other guys, then it makes sense why he would just be comfortable sitting on the roster, eating up the finally guaranteed contract that he earned, and filling in the spot minutes that he's provided when the time comes. With that in mind, though, I would like to see his role increase as the season goes on, but I believe it would take likely a trade for that truly to happen. I would like for him to be the contributing factor on the Utah Jazz at some point, as opposed to being traded away, but I believe that it would also be more beneficial for him to be traded to a team that is more point guard needy, or if somebody does end up encountering a particular point guard injury that could force that need onto their roster over the short term, which ultimately could provide him with the opportunity to earn a bigger contract going forward, because this is the final year of the deal that he did sign originally last year after his 10-day contracts with the Utah Jazz. Now, this is a bit of a late addition to the previous recording that I had. I recorded on separate days just because I didn't get the Kris Dunn video out as early as I originally planned on it. That being said, there's been 2 games since, and it was against the Lakers and the Trailblazers. Both were really bad games for the Utah Jazz, put mildly. But in those games, Kris Dunn played at all, which was nice. And in the first game against the Lakers, he played 8 minutes. In the second game against the Portland Trailblazers, he played 5 minutes. Now, against the Lakers, he had 5 points, shooting 2 of 4 from the field, hit the 1 3-pointer that he did attempt, and he also had 2 assists. Against the Trailblazers, in the 5 minutes that he played, he had 1 point, going 0 of 1 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, to go along with 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block. That doesn't tremendously change the outlook of where he's going to be in the rotation, and I believe that these minutes that he was even given were simply because the games were out of reach at different points in time for the Utah Jazz. Now, he did end up playing his 5 minutes against the Trailblazers in the first half, which was a little bit surprising to me, and I thought we were going to get to see more of him in the second half, considering how the game had been going. But they just didn't decide to pull the trigger on that, and Will Hardy kept him on the bench. I believe that this still entails that he will not be on the trade block, but he's more of that reserve point guard that's there for the veteran leadership and just to shore things up should there be a significant injury to the roster. Overall, it still doesn't change my opinion that I believe that he should have been playing minutes at the beginning of the season. He should still be playing minutes now. And honestly, it's about time to start shopping THT, because over those same last 2 games since I recorded, THT has shot 2 of 14 from the field. Against the Lakers, he played 23 minutes, had 6 points, going 1 of 10 from the field, 0 of 5 from the 3-point line, to go along with 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Against the Trailblazers, he ended up playing 14 minutes, having 5 points, going 1 of 4 from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, to go along with 1 assist. The only bright spot over his past 2 games has been the fact that against the Lakers, he only had 1 turnover to those 7 assists. However, he kind of regressed and then ended up having 3 turnovers to his 1 assist against the Portland Trailblazers. I hope that this shines a little bit of light for those that haven't really known what's been going on with Kris Dunn, or for those that have just quite honestly been feeling the same way that I have about the entirety of the Utah Jazz season and wondering why at this point you don't give Kris Dunn or Bryce Sensabaugh or Taylor Hendricks some burn. And there will be a video about the other 2 gentlemen that I named lastly in the coming days. With that being said, thanks for tuning into this video. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts down below. Let me know if you think Kris Dunn should play. Let me know if you think you would rather see him actually get traded, or if there's a different guard that you would like to see get traded on this roster to try and bolster what they already have going on. As always, go ahead and subscribe, turn on post notifications, and if you're already subscribed, go ahead and become a member so that you can enjoy the perks of conversations off to the side, getting in on the back end of the way the videos are created, and also getting the early releases of the videos before the public gets to see them. With that being said, thanks for tuning in this video. As always, good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.